I don't know how, I don't know why, but for some reason, it is now 2024. I'm pretty sure 5 minutes ago it was 2020, but 4 years have slipped through my fingers like the sands of time, and it's time for another new VR games roundup for January 2024. Now typically January is a quieter month and I just have 10 games to go over today, so it will be a shorter video, but there's still some pretty big hitters in here. There's some games that people are excited for. There's games that I'm very excited for here, so hopefully we'll still have a good January with lots of great VR games to experience. Let's get into it. Happy New Year, everyone. These are the new VR games that we know about launching in January 2024. Up first on the 4th of January, it's Micro Machines Mini Challenge Mayhem for the Quest platform. Now, I'm going to sound like I'm about 1,000 years old when I say this, but back in my day, back on the Sega Mega Drive, Micro Machines was a racing game. You used to race through real-world locations like the breakfast table or a pool table or the backyard, and you'd be racing against other vehicles. This new Micro Machines game, however, seems to have more in common with Endless Runners or a Scalextrics type of gameplay loop. You seem to be driving along one-track roads with walls on either side, so a little bit like bowling with the barriers up. However, the mixed reality track creating mode looks like it could be a lot of fun, and I will reserve judgment until I've played this one when it launches on the 4th of January. Townsmen VR is an existing God Sim town builder that you can currently buy on PCVR, but it's making its way to the Quest platform on the 4th of January. Now in Townsmen VR, you the player play as a giant godlike creature, and it's entirely up to you whether you are a nice god or a horrible god. Now if you're a nice god, you'll probably set your townsfolk to work chopping down trees, mining for rocks and fishing for food, and then use those resources to build bigger and better towns, bigger and better islands. If you're a nasty god, you'll probably just pick your townsmen up and throw them as far as you physically can, or perhaps you'll drown them in the sea. All these options are available to you. This game has a great art style and, surprisingly, a huge amount of interactive options. You can interact with most things in this game, and I really enjoyed it on PCVR, so I'm excited to see it come to the standalone platform. UNDERDOGS takes the physicality of the combat in a game like Gorn and combines it with huge, powerful mechs to create one of the most unique and intense VR brawlers in recent memory. Now, so far, I've only gone hands-on with the roguelike survival mode, but I was blown away by just how impactful everything feels in UNDERDOGS. When your giant metal fist connects with a robot enemy that's leaping towards you, I can confidently say that you can feel that impact. It's an impressive feat, and the devs have managed to make every aspect of the game feel so heavy, chunky, and most importantly connected to the physical actions of the player. Apparently the game also houses an impressive story mode that I'm keen to go hands-on with. Fingers crossed we don't have to wait too long, as UNDERDOGS is currently slated for early 2024 or Q1. Many years ago when I was younger, I was a huge Thomas the Tank Engine fan. I had tons of wooden toy trains, some wooden track, and I spent countless hours building said track and pushing the trains around it. However, in my later life, this love of trains has admittedly disappeared, probably because I live in the UK and the government have completely obliterated the entire railway network, making it useless and overpriced. It's quite literally cheaper to fly across the UK than it is to ride a train. Ooh, political. But nevertheless, I can still feel the nostalgic excitement for Toy Trains VR. In this cute little puzzle game, you have to lay train track down to ensure your train makes it from A to B. Obstacles might need to be taken into account, and you have to use the available pieces to complete the circuit. These kind of relaxing VR games are always a favourite of mine, and I'll definitely be unwinding with some Toy Trains when it launches on the 16th of January. Up next, we have arguably the most anticipated confirmed to be releasing VR title of January 2024. Bulletstorm VR. Now, if you don't know what Bulletstorm is, let me enlighten you. Bulletstorm originally launched for the Xbox 360, PS3 and PC back in February of 2011. It didn't set the world on fire, but it definitely left a decent enough impression to win over a cult following of fans, and there are some to this day who would love to see a sequel. The gameplay was the biggest selling point, as Bulletstorm opted to reward players for unique and exciting kills by giving them points and cataloguing all the crazy kills they had managed to pull off. It was basically a game of murderous trick shots, where you'd get more points for doing things like kicking enemies off ledges, blasting them up into the air and exploding them like fireworks, or using environmental objects to destroy a big group of bad guys. This over-the-top skill-based kill system should work perfectly in a VR version of the game, and the crazy weaponry available to players also feels like a natural fit for virtual reality. Fingers crossed developers in Kuvo can nail this one, as it seems to be sitting pretty high on many people's wish lists. Following on from the nostalgic gameplay of Toy Trains, we have another game that wants to whisk you back to your youth and remind you of what it felt like to be young. This is Crumbling, a new VR roguelike where you rip open the packages of little action figures. Honestly, it looks so satisfying to do that in VR. And then you take control of those characters in third person to battle your way through as many levels as you can survive. Now, being a roguelike, I'm sure the gameplay is built around unlocking perks, upgrading to bigger and better action figures, and there even seems to be an option to paint the figures to better represent your style. Or at least that's what the trailer makes it look like when the player grabs the paintbrush. Either way, we shouldn't have too long to find out, as Crumbling launches for Quest and PCVR in Q1 or early 2024. Hunt Together is a brand new PvP horror experience that pits an exorcist against a ghost. The exorcist player needs to locate and banish the ghost player from the level before cleansing evil objects around the environment that the ghost was haunting. The ghost player needs to stop the exorcist from doing exactly that. Now, it is unclear in this first trailer exactly what the objective is for the ghost or the spirit, as it focuses more on the objectives of the exorcist. Either way, I'm keen to jump in and test this one out, as PvP horror is a genre that still hasn't been fully cracked in the VR space. We've got a ton of great flat games that have nailed the formula, but so far nothing has really stuck for the virtual reality players. Fingers crossed Hunt Together manages to crack the code and give us something we'll be playing for a long time to come. Ever since the launch of the Quest 3, we've seen a new wave of fantastic mixed reality applications and experiences, but most of them, not all of them, but most of them have been smaller, bite-sized experiences or spin-offs from existing VR games. So it's really exciting to see a game like Demeter being advertised for Meta's new headset, as it seems to be a substantial third-person action-adventure game that takes place entirely in mixed reality. The gameplay from this trailer reminds me a huge amount of Bastion, Hades, and even a dash of Diablo, but most of that might be coming from the perspective that the action is being shown from in this particular trailer. Either way, I'm just happy to be getting an MR game like this, as the medium is fast becoming one of my favourite aspects of the Quest 3 headset. Demeter is set to launch on the 25th of January, and at this stage I would expect it to work best for Quest 3 and Quest Pro. Quest 2 players with the black and white pass-through may have to sit this adventure out. Wanderer was easily one of my favourite VR games of 2022. It was a time-bending adventure game that took players to incredible locations and periods in time to solve interconnected puzzles that had you backtracking from one location to another with items stolen from different worlds. For instance, an item you found at a rock show in the 60s could come in handy with the puzzle you were trying to solve on the moon. It sounds crazy, but that was the unique gameplay loop of Wanderer. It's a game I would have recommended to every VR owner, but now I'd say wait a little longer for this full-blown re-release that aims to give the original game an even better visual representation, better VR interactions, a higher level of polish overall, and a release on a wider range of headsets. Wanderer Fragments of Fate is a unique game because the original Wanderer only launched in January 2022, and now just 2 years later, the devs are nearly ready to release a Redux do-over version that honestly looks superb when compared to the original game, which already looked incredible, don't get me wrong. All the gameplay you're seeing right here is from the Quest standalone version. It looks really impressive, but if you want to see this game looking its very best, go check out some PC or PSVR2 gameplay. Fingers crossed we see this one early in 2024. And finally, another game that we could be seeing very early in the year but currently has no confirmed release date is Aces of Thunder for the PSVR2. Now originally this one was announced back in March of 2023 and it's mostly been radio silent since then. However, a tweet from the game's official Twitter account just before the end of the year said they would have more information to share very soon, so we might be seeing a release sooner than anticipated. Aces of Thunder is a spin-off from the popular War Thunder series and it's been built from the ground up to harness the power of the PSVR2. With dozens of World War II era planes to choose from and some seriously gorgeous visuals, this might be my new favourite flight combat experience, and it's a genre that the PSVR2 is definitely crying out for currently. Hopefully we get some more details about this one soon, as it could be an incredible way to kick off 2024 for PSVR2 owners. And that brings me to the end of this new VR games roundup video for January 2024. Now as always, these are only the games that we know about currently. We know these ones are coming out in January because they have release dates, and there's a few speculative ones at the end of this video, so Wanderer and Aces of Thunder. We don't know about those, but everything else we should see in January or Q1 2024. But there'll probably be more releases because that's just how VR works. Games tend to drop at a moment's notice without much hype or marketing. Let me know down in the comments which of these games you'll be picking up, and Happy New Year to you all. Here's to another fantastic year of VR gaming experiences and hopefully some new VR headsets. Take care everyone.